We begin this show with an extraordinary event unfolding in the House of Commons. It's something that has not happened since 1913. GC Strategies partner Kristian Firth, a key player in the ArriveCan controversy, is admonished by the Speaker.
On behalf of the House of Commons, I admonish you.
Firth was called to the House today after being found in contempt of Parliament when he failed to answer questions before a committee looking into the ArriveCan app. GC Strategies, a two-person IT staffing firm, was the largest contractor hired to work on the app, but it was later found out that it had subcontracted that work out to 6 other companies. We now know GC Strategies made more than $11 million for its work. The CBC's Karina has been following this for us today, and she joins me now. And Karina, before this even started today, the questioning by the MPs was the rare thing. We learned that Firth's house was raided in connection to an RCMP investigation into alleged misconduct in an outsourced Canadian Border Services Agency contract. Just listen to this clip.
Terminate. Today, media reports that Mr. Firth's property was raided by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. What crime are they investigating?
Mr. Firth.
Mr. Speaker, that's correct. There was a search warrant, not an arrest warrant, for my property to obtain electronic goods surrounding the Butler allegations.
Okay, so Karina, we know the founders of Butler alerted the CBSA of this alleged subcontracting misconduct. What more did we learn about all of this in the testimony so far?
Well, he was asked repeatedly, first of all, whether he knows what the RCMP took. I mean, the warrant was for electronic devices you heard there. He said he didn't know because he wasn't there at the time when the warrant was executed. So we don't have a clear answer on what they actually took away. He was asked if he'd seen the warrant, and he said he's skimmed it, but he couldn't go into detail in accuracy off the top of his head. Just the fact that he confirmed it happened, but they tried to clarify whether or not it's about actually the ArriveCan app, or as he said there, the Butler allegations. The Butler allegations are about improper contracting, including GC Strategies, but not particularly about the ArriveCan app, and that's where he said the search, that's what it was about. So that's the additional detail we got from him in testimony, and that's, so far, questions have not continued in that vein. They've been on other things.
Okay, this is still happening in the House of Commons as we speak, but Karina, when this all started, there was an attempt by the Liberals to shut this whole line of questioning down today. What happened there?
So Steve McKinnon, the House Leader for the government, stood up when his questioning, because the Liberals were given the first 10 minutes of questioning, to point out that and ask questions about the consultation that Mr. Firth had with a medical doctor about his ability to essentially go through a situation like this that's going to cause him stress and perhaps mental health problems or exacerbate mental health problems that he's dealing with, and that he said he's taking medication for and taking therapy for. So he corroborated that, yes, he'd met with a doctor and there was an actual note recommending against an event such as this. That then led to Steve McKinnon using the opportunity to say that it meant that the Liberals certainly did not, that side of the House did not want to engage further until, he's more medically ready to deal with this, and took a dig at the opposition to say, what does that say about you that you want to? Of course, the opposition took issue with that. The Liberals, therefore, have not participated in the questioning, but the other parties have. And he has taken pauses and breaks and been asked if he'd like them, but it did end up proceeding, yes.
Okay, it's an interesting choice because, as you can see on the screen, there's Blake Desjardins, who's an NDP MP. The Liberals have essentially ceded the floor to the opposition on this, and it is continuing and will go on for some time. So what stood out to you, Karina, from what we've heard to this point so far?
So there has been some substance, although some of the substance is really those details that MPs certainly want to know, but I'm not sure the average Canadian cares about the names of the people that they're looking for. What we have now been given the names of, for instance, the person he talked to, the public servant he talked to in helping create the criteria for the very contract that then they won, which of course has been part of the controversy. The nature of the out-of-work engagements comments and meetings he had with, for instance, former chief information officers with the government, and how appropriate that was, and whether it was, he characterizes it as a health check on existing contracts, not about getting new contracts. He tried to clear up contradictions and clarifications, but he did admit basically that in his previous appearance at committee, that not only did he not answer things properly, but he actually also answered things untruthfully. And so that stood out to me for sure, and that he would do it differently now that he's been admonished and is making history in a way that I'm not sure anyone wants their name to go down in the history books for this. We have learned a little bit about how contracting works from his perspective, but also in the nature of the questions that we've heard from the MPs. He was also asked, David, whether or not the government has asked for any money back, seeing as, there's lots of questions about whether value for money, an $80,000 contract ballooning to what the Auditor General can sort of guess to be about $60 million. He says he has not been asked for the money back. So he was also asked whether he would give the money back, whether he should just do it regardless of being asked for it. And he defended the work that his company did, and went through, what he was asked to do, what he was required to do, and then he did that all. And so he didn't answer the question directly, but you got a sense that he doesn't feel he should be giving that money back. And I just want to say there has been, as you know, a bit of drama, as we talked about. And there certainly was a lot of back and forth and some posturing in addition to actual questions that have been meaningful. But one question from the Conservatives, from Larry Brock, was insinuating that he's taking the fall for the government and for the Prime Minister and for cabinet ministers, and whether he's willing to go to jail for them. So that was a bit of a moment, which he declined to answer because he pointed out that question is speculation and not one he can really answer.
Okay, Karina, thank you so much. This is CBC's Karina Roman. We're going to continue to monitor this and bring you any major developments later in the show.